What else have you got, really? You can have all the money, all the things you were told to have. The money, the partner, the nice house, the big telly, the car, and still have no peace of mind. What's the point? Hello, friends. John Dalton here, Further Emergence podcast, where we go into love, consciousness, and the mystery. And in this episode, we're going into spiritual awakening, peace of mind, and the illusion of control. Now, let's have a look at some of the memes on the Further Emergence Instagram feed. The first one is two pictures, and the first picture is a little boy with a Wellington boot on his head, and the caption above it says, "Before spiritual awakening." And the next picture is the same little boy, but just zoomed back from a little bit further, and you realize that he has his own hand inside the boot, and he's pressing the boot against his head, and it says, "After spiritual awakening." So before spiritual awakening, there's a boot on your head. After spiritual awakening, you realize that you are the one inside the boot, or it's your hand inside the boot. This was so me, totally me. Before spiritual awakening, the boot on the head, like all the pressure, all the like not getting it right, failing, not living up to expectations, all this kind of thing. And then after spiritual awakening, I realized I was the one with my hand inside the boot on my head. It's a bit shocking, this particular meme, because it's a little kid, but it kind of has to be, because that's the way I was. And the boot is the long list of things. For me, it was all about enlightenment. And I started off with this big long list of things, but it doesn't have to be about enlightenment. It can be anything, whatever spiritual awakening is, because really the idea of spiritual awakening is like a shopping list of all the things that you think are pretty rubbish about yourself. Or that was the case with me anyway. Like I sort of felt like fundamentally there was something wrong with me. It was fundamentally flawed. And if I got enlightened, that would be the end of being flawed. So I found myself a nice, harsh master, it's very long, who was a bit of a thunderer and a bit of a, bit tough. Because hard for me to be objective about it because, as I say, he was my teacher. But I know, like, people who have listened to me and kind of went, "Oh, well, let's go to the source here. Let's go to Barry and hear what he has to say." And then they come back going, "Oh, I didn't like him. I found him a bit tough." But I think that's just he was just a man of his time kind of thing. And it was his configuration. So anyway, I found myself a nice, tough, spiritual master. And I was like, great, he's going to beat me into shape. He's going to beat all the problems out of me. He's going to beat all the imperfections out of me. So there I am with my hand in the boot without realizing it, putting all this pressure on myself of, well, this is the ideal version. I mean, I wouldn't have put it in these words, but this is what was going on. This is the idealized version of myself. This is who I think I should be. And then just trying very hard to be that, and not going very well with it, failing miserably at it. And then I went to see this woman, Catherine Ingram, and people have gone and looked at Catherine as well and gone, "I don't get it," because she is very different to Barry, not thundery at all, lovely, gentle, lovely woman, very earnest, and just like Barry was very earnest as well. And she's saying her thing, but for me the contrast was so strong. And then going, she's got what Barry's got. She's got exactly the same energy that Barry's got. And both of them have what I want. And then this realization of, oh, okay, so if those two are enlightened, then I'm enlightened as well. Which doesn't sound like much to say. But it was knowledge. It wasn't a wish. It wasn't like, oh, I wish I was enlightened like them. I just knew. I just knew the thing that I had been putting myself under all this pressure for was inside me all the time. And then the idealized version of me just disappeared. And I could just know I was enlightened, just like they were, with all my unconsciousness as well. You know, I often describe it as like being like a sapling, you know, like a tree, a little tree, knowing or realizing what it is, realizing that it is a little sapling and that it still has plenty of growing to do, but that it is not fundamentally flawed, that there's nothing wrong with it. Because up to that, I had this feeling of, I should be an oak tree. Really, I should be an oak tree. I have it in me. I have it in me to be an oak tree. Why aren't I an oak tree? And my whole focus was on trying to be something I wasn't. And getting enlightened for me was realizing, oh, I've got my hand in the boot. I'm the one putting the pressure on myself here. I'm not what I thought I should be. And what I am is fine. And again, that doesn't sound like much. But for me, it was huge. It was a huge shift in perspective and the way I saw myself. I no longer saw myself as fundamentally flawed. And that's probably the main thing about being enlightened for me. Is prior to being enlightened, I had this feeling of slight awkwardness around people who I thought were less flawed than me. Shame, I suppose, in a way. Very deep shame. I mean, I had all sorts of shame from trauma, but that's kind of emotional trauma, emotional shame. This was like almost like existential shame. Like shame about my being. And that, you know, if I was in the room with Barry Long, for example, I would feel very awkward. I can remember doing a personal development training. This is years beforehand. And it was very powerful. Split me open in many ways. And the trainer seemed to have they had all the answers. And they seemed very together in the way, you know, I kind of projected onto them and felt kind of uncomfortable around them. And then I was visiting a friend's house it was like a couple of days between the training session and then we were going to go back for something else. And I was feeling open and lovely, and I can remember sitting on a couch, having my head resting on someone's shoulder, completely at peace with the world, and I'd got through so much, and I'd let go so much emotional baggage, and it was beautiful. And then I heard voices. Somebody was arriving. I was like, oh great, another human being, oh that's beautiful, another human being. Then I recognized the voice, and it was like the trainer had come on a little social call Well, the head came up off the person's shoulder, and I was like, and suddenly all the peace, love, and understanding went out the window. And this fundamental idea that I had a flaw, existential flaw, or not, existential is not the right word, a flaw in my very core, and that this person didn't have it or had it a lot less, and that they would see it. They'd see it because they were very perceptive. They'd see through. They'd see me in all my flawedness. That's just a good example of what was going on behind the scenes. So that's me putting the boot on my head, going, the way I am is not okay. Who I am is not okay. And if I get enlightened, if I get spiritually awakened, self-realized, doesn't matter what word you use, because it all adds up to the same thing. It's like the sapling going, I shouldn't be a sapling. I should be some other thing, you know? And I say a sapling because it's not like all my unconsciousness disappeared. I still had lots and lots and lots of growth and change and realizing things. I made super mistakes afterwards, got into catastrophic relationships. I was suicidal. I was drinking. I had a lot to go through still. And I still go through things, of course, because, okay, maybe I'm not a sapling anymore, but I'm still growing. I'm still growing just like everybody is. But the main difference was the boot on my head of all the shoulds. Because I had a shopping list. I had a shopping list of, well, when I'm enlightened, I'll be this, and I'll be this, and I'll be this, and I'll be this other thing, and I'll be this other thing, and, which is, none of it was real. It was just all this kind of fantasy about, which could add up to, you could say when I'm enlightened, but really what I was saying was, when I'm no longer flawed, when the flawed stain is gone. That's what it added up to. That was what my shopping list was about. And as soon as I realized that wasn't true, then I could see my hand in the boot going, oh, okay, it's just been me. It's not been outside. I think unconsciously I was imagining something out there knew I was flawed and was judging me. But it turns out I was the only one who was judging me. So, yeah. The next one says, it's time to start being loyal to your own peace of mind. The idea of being loyal to your own peace of mind, it's pretty radical, isn't it? Because unconsciously we can be loyal to all sorts of things. Family, friends, country maybe. The idea of being loyal to your own peace of mind, that's very revolutionary. Because it's like, you have to walk away from a lot when you're loyal to your own peace of mind. You don't have to, but you'll find yourself walking away from a lot. Because you'll kind of go, watching horror movies kind of bothers me. Talking to that family member who insists on telling me how terrible the world is, I love them. But when I come away from them, my peace of mind is ruined. Or maybe it's when I'm on my own, my peace of mind is okay. When I'm with my partner, they do my head in. Like, they're very disturbing. And I'm all for looking at my stuff and everything, but they're not. So I'm just disturbed. That's it. Nothing happens. I'm just disturbed. Now, being loyal to your own peace of mind in that situation might mean having a difficult conversation. And if that doesn't go well, it might mean you might have to take action. You might have to do something about it, about your partner. Or maybe it's your job. Maybe you kind of go, you know what, it's not that I hate working. I love working. I don't mind working at all. I find this work. It's not even the work. It's the environment. It's the boss. It's the people above me. It really disturbs my peace of mind. Oh dear. So it's like a nice little thing to read. Oh yeah, be loyal to your peace of mind. But that could mean radical changes. Radical, drastic changes. Which is fine if you're up for it. But it goes from being a lovely, nice little thing. Oh yeah, be loyal to my peace of mind. Yeah, okay. To, hang on a minute. What that actually means is very, I don't want to say subversive, but I don't think it is subversive. I think it's just radical. It means if I really do it, if I really make my peace of mind my priority, well, that means I might have to change a lot of things in my life, a lot of big things. And then it comes down to, well, how important is it to you? Like, we're not really conditioned to value it, are we? Peace of mind. It's not like when you're a kid, your parents or society says, now, when you grow up, work hard so that you can accumulate a lot of peace of mind. No, that's not what's said. It's never said. It's like, look, do all this stuff. And if you can manage to be happy as well, that's a bonus. But it's not the first thing on the priority list. Security, finances, mating, having a family, getting a good job, buying stuff. Nice car, nice house, big telly. Get all that stuff. And the inference is, if you get all that stuff, you'll be happy. But it doesn't make sense, really, does it? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, shouldn't it be... the point of the whole thing is to be happy. Now, if you get lots of money, that might make you happy, but keep checking it. Check in, because it's easy to get a lot of money and not be happy. Getting a lot of stuff might make you happy, but check in. Maybe it won't. The main thing is to be happy, though. The main thing is peace of mind. Get married. Now, that mightn't make you happy either. So check in. You know, does it interfere with your peace of mind? and so on. So what starts off as a very innocent little phrase, be loyal. That's the kicker, being loyal. That means come what may, my peace of mind comes first. Yikes. That's intense. So, yeah, I think it's definitely worth thinking about, looking at. Because what else have you got, really? You can have all the money, all the things you were told to have. The money, the partner, the nice house, the big telly, the car, and still have no peace of mind. What's the point?
The last one says, you're afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control, but you never had control. All you had was anxiety.
So the idea of surrender and that you are anxious because, or you were unwilling to surrender because you are trying to have control, but you never had control, and all you had was anxiety. The whole idea of surrender is a funny one. It's paradoxical, like most things in the spiritual life, in my experience anyway. Because you simultaneously, or I do anyway, take full responsibility for everything in existence. So I do that. And I very actively work to change things as much as I can. Just like you, I'm sure. But then at the same time, I kind of know that the mystery knows what it's doing. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it, but I know I know that it knows what it's doing. So when you don't know that, then you're into control, or trying to have control, or the illusion of control, because that's really what it is. It's an illusion. And when you have an illusion of control, that's where the anxiety comes from. But you can't sit back and go, well, it's all out of my control. That's what I mean about it being a paradox. You have to do your bit. You have to do everything that you're moved to change things in the way that you want them to go. But I have seen that the real disturbance comes with people when they don't go the way they want them. Then they either start shaking their fist at the sky, or they blame themselves. I didn't work hard enough, I'm too stupid, I'm not conscious enough. Whatever, we're very creative. When it comes to giving ourselves a hard time about things, I think it's probably one of the most creative areas of human creativity, or expression of human creativity. How creatively we can beat ourselves up. It's quite remarkable. So, what do you do then? How to hold these two things together at the same time? It's not easy. But it seems like that's what's required, because if you don't want to be anxious or angry, because it seems like it's one or the other, isn't it? It's like people get, as I say, upset, and they blame the external. Like if there's a kind of a God thing, it's like God's let them down, or God's not real. It's basically, shaking the fist at the sky, one shape or another. Or it's like unseen forces, malevolent forces, up to no good. Not saying there aren't, but in terms of blaming, instead of owning the whole thing. It's like, I don't know, it's like owning this thing that you don't know how you're doing it. You don't know how you're creating it, but you still take ownership regardless. You still go, yeah, it's all coming out of me. I'm doing it. I don't know how I'm doing it. But it's me. And that's kind of what you surrender to, or it's what I surrender to. Kind of the limits of my consciousness. I'm only sort of aware of how I do things. That's why I'm interested in manifestation, because I want to become more aware of how I influence my reality. But while that's happening, I'm sort of in the limbo of, I don't know how I'm doing this. I don't know how I'm creating this stuff. Which is, I think, what we're all in. We're all in the same boat. We all don't know how we're doing it. The main point is, though, finding a way to live with it all without being miserable. Because if you're anxious because you don't have control, as I say, control is kind of an illusion. So it doesn't really serve you. So it's finding a way to be okay with it so that you can function. Because have you noticed the pressure is increasing? If you think about the last 4 or 5 years, you think what life was like 4 or 5 years ago? It was kind of simpler, wasn't it? Or at least it felt simpler. Now, it feels quite complex. There are things going on that weren't going on before. So, it's like, as I say, pressure is increasing. A bit like this walk. So what do? It seems like you have to find a way. You have to find a way to be okay with it. And to me, the main disturbances, or one of the main disturbances, being able to hold these two things. The idea of surrender and control. And realizing that the idea of control is just that. It's an illusion. And if I let go of it, then I don't have the anxiety that I had when I was trying to maintain control, or the idea of control. Once I let go of it, then I didn't have that anymore, which was beautiful. But then, similarly, I can't just spiritual bypass my way out of the whole thing either and go, oh well, it's nothing to do with me. That doesn't work either. So it's a funny kind of magical state to be in, to own the whole thing for no reason, for absolutely no reason. You've got no evidence. You've got no evidence at all that you're not kidding yourself, that you're not like severely deluded. You might be. But, and this could be an Irish thing, because it's in the same vein as don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. It's the same thing as like, I don't care about being deluded. It doesn't bother me. Because it seems like we're all kind of deluded in one way or another. What I am concerned about is, how's my peace of mind? How's my general happiness? How empowered do I feel? Because if I take ownership of everything and go, okay, I'm doing all of this. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it all. That activates different machinery inside where I'm wondering about it. I'm wondering about how I'm doing it, how I'm influencing it. You know, if I just was going, it's nothing to do with me, it's all just out there. I don't know how any of it works, and I'm not doing any of it. I'll never figure it out. But if I own the whole thing and go, yeah, I'm doing it, it's all coming out of me. I only know a very small amount. I only know pretty much what's in front of me. Whether I smile at that person, whether I'm kind, you know, that kind of stuff. I feel like I have control over that. But everything else, the big stuff, I don't know. But I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to keep looking until I figure it out. Much better chance of you actually figuring it out then, if you do that. All right, that's all I have for you this time. I trust you're well, I trust you're of good cheer, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.